I think something that helped me get to where I am today is DCMST and my AP classes. DCMST is a program where they take like kids from all three high schools and they take them to like half a day at Henry Ford, and it's really hard, but if you put in the work, it pays off in the end. And AP classes are like college classes that you can take at your high school, and they're also really hard, but if you study a lot and like put in the effort, you'll get back. But it raises your GPA. Like if you had a C, it'd be a B, and if you had a B, it'd be an A. And at the end of the year, you can take a test, and if you pass that test, you get college credits.
I think the thing that got me where I am today is my family. To have a great family, I'm very thankful, alhamdulillah, for my family. If it wasn't for my family, I don't think I'd do as good as I don't think I'd be where I am today. Also, my priorities. Some people gotta get their priorities straight. If you want to do good in school, you gotta make sure like school is your #1 priority. And yeah, that's it.
One thing I'd like to add to what these students said was being involved in sports. I mean, a lot of you, when we think about education, we think about it strictly being the work you do in school, the work that you do to dedicate to like improving your grades and your GPA, but a really important thing is finding balance between your social life, your academic life, your professional life. And one way to do that is to get involved in many different things. You can do community service, you can be involved in sports, but the main thing is to find balance between whatever you choose to do. Whatever you dedicate your time to, be sure that you can find some way to make it all work out. Don't sacrifice your academic performance for your sports. But also, if you're really good at sports, don't sacrifice your chance at getting an athletic scholarship for, let's say, something that you might not enjoy as much. Make sure you find that balance between your school and something else. I'll do a quick recap on this last question, what the students talk about, and as we go through the talk show, I'm going to just let the crowd ask us some questions about each of their topics. So I'm going to overview what they said, and then you guys can ask us questions. I'm also going to ask them to kind of build up on what they've told us. So one of the topics, or the last one you just heard about, was having a very supportive family or working with your family to make your dreams a reality. That's really important. Setting your priorities, being able to say one thing is more important than something else. Like your school is more important than watching a movie Friday night with your friends. Let's say you have an exam coming up. You have to figure out what's more important to you. Passing this test, possibly getting a scholarship, or maybe taking an AP class and sacrificing some of your time for doing homework, or making it to a football game or a basketball game. That's really your choice. And to me, I don't think that's a tough decision, but I think for a lot of students it is. So you really have to think about that. What's going to make a difference long term in your life? Another topic that was brought up was getting involved in AP or DCMST, dual enrollment classes, anything that's offered to you at your school, take advantage of it. You have these programs at your schools. Go out there and see what they can offer you. AP classes are there. It's an easy way to get college credits. It boosts your GPA if you do well. And let's say you don't get an A in the class. You get like a C. That C really counts as a B. You're not losing anything by taking these classes. You might think that you're losing time taking homework. What you're gaining is college credit that you won't have to pay for in the future. Another thing is dual enrollment. A lot of students might have questions about how to get involved with dual enrollment. All you have to do is go up to your counselor and ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to go up to people that are in the community, such as people like here at AAYSP, we're more than willing to help you. If you have questions, any of these people up on stage here, any of the people that are coordinating this event, we will take time out of our day to sit down and to talk to you. That's actually something I love to do. Because one, I think that's what makes us human, or like that's kind of a humane thing to do, to sit down with someone else and to just give them some tips or some help. Another topic was community service. You brought up community service. I'm going to ask you to kind of build up on what you think is important about community service, or what experiences helped you get involved with community service? So what did you do exactly?
Well, for OPIC, we have an online where basically in order to be a volunteer there, you have to fill out an application, and right away they get back to you, and it's pretty cool because you can either work at like the gift shop, or you can work with one of the offices there. I know Hannah worked at the nutrition office there, and it gives you experience in the healthcare. And with Red Cross, it's really, when we got to do blood drives, we got to meet a lot of nurses, and you actually got to give blood too if you wanted to. And for the tutoring, just to talk to any students that need help, or through NHS. And
thank you. Now, how many of you out there are considering taking AP classes in the future? I want to see a show of hands. Good. I want to see more in the future. How many of you are thinking about dual enrollment classes? I want you guys to be aware that these things are out there. These are things that they're sitting there, they're forms, they're applications to take advantage of. How many of you have heard of DCMST or are interested in getting involved with that? That's something you have to apply for in 8th grade. So work really hard and I guess set high goals for yourself. I'm going to move on to the next question, but before I do, does anyone in the audience have questions about what we've talked about so far? I'll go over the topics real quick. We had family organization priorities, community involvement and leadership, community service, dual enrollment, or sports and finding balance. Are there any questions you can ask about how to get involved, what you do, what the process is like, what the experience is like? I mean, how many of you have fears about taking these classes, that it might be too hard? Do you have a question that you'd like to ask about it, maybe?
Can you elaborate on the enrollment classes? You take a class in college or high school. Explain for them that it's easy, it's not as hard as it seems to be. Everybody can do it.
Sounds good. Let's elaborate on the dual enrollment classes. Well, for dual enrollment, what you do is you're taking, everyone knows you have to take a certain amount of classes in high school, correct? You have to take a certain amount of years of math, science, language arts, reading. Instead of taking it at your high school, what you actually do is you sign up at college, and it counts for both. It counts for your high school class, and you'll also get a college credit. The schools pay for it if you decide to take the dual enrollment class at Henry Ford. So you'll fill out the form, it'll count for high school and for college. If you pass the class, it's not as hard as you think it is. It's actually usually like the equivalent of a high school class that you would take. Let's say you took, I took calculus as my dual enrollment class, like Calc 1 and 2. A lot of people think that's really, really hard. Actually, it wasn't, because I was ready to take it. Let's say you're ready to take a college English class or a college psychology class. If you're at the stage where you've already taken all your high school English or all your high school math, or if you think that you're ready or you're ready for the challenge, take it. It's not that much harder, it just takes dedication. You have to be willing to say, I can do this. And that's what makes the difference. Any other questions before we move on to the next part of the talk show? All right, let's move on. Our second question. I think this is an important question because you guys need to realize what resources are available for you in the community. A lot of students feel like there aren't people they can turn to, or they don't have the skills, or this community is not better as well off as other communities, but really that's not true. There are many, many, many resources here, and they're just sitting there. There are centers and people that are sitting there waiting for you to ask them for help. I'm going to ask these students to explain some of those resources to you. I'll start off with Karima. Karima, can you explain resources that are available for ACT and the SAT?
The ACT is probably the most important test you'll take throughout high school. It determines your college acceptance, it determines scholarships, it determines so many other things, and it's just this one test. There's a lot of things you can do to prepare. There's a lot of workshops that you can do. If you're good with working with people, you're able to cooperate, collaborate, you can generate new ideas. There's the Princeton Review that comes to Dearborn schools every year. It's a professional tutoring program, but it will cost about $300. There's an alternative tutoring program. I know at Fordson High School they offered ACT Prep as an elective. So it counts towards your English. It's as if you were taking creative writing or speech. And throughout the year, you prepare for this one test in the spring. And it's really intense, but it really pays off. Once you do take the test and you're not satisfied with your grades, there's always a retake. You can take as many retakes as you want. The retake does cost $46, but you can get it waived if you're on the free lunch list or if your parents receive Social Security benefits. The waiver will cover up to 2 test retakes. You can also prepare online. There's full-length tests online with answers, explanations, there's tips, techniques, things to do before you take the test, things to do if you blank out right when you start. There's a lot of books too, ACT prep books. And you don't even have to go buy a book. They should be at your local library. I know I used the books at my school library. They have full-length explanations, answer keys, so you know that the answer is A because ... It'll explain it so you're not left in the dark. You should really take the test seriously the first time you take it because it is very important and they do look at your first attempt.